Who's hot, who not? Tell me who rock, who sell out in the stores. You tell me who flop, who cop the blue drop, who jewels got blocks, who mostly goes down to the flop. The same old pimp, mace, you know ain't nothing changed but my limp. Can't stop till I see my name on the blimp. Guarantee me yourself for the level up. You don't believe in how the world, double up. We don't play around, it's a bet, lay it down. Didn't know me 91, bet they know me now. I'm the young Harlem with the Goldie sound. Can't never hold me down, cooler. School me to the game, now I know my duty. Stay humble, stay low, blow like booty. True pimp, pin no dough on my booty. Yeah, but make scared, go you cutie.
All the rock, top off all the drop. I know I'm thinking now when all the ball stop. Never home, gotta call me on the yacht. 10 years from now, we'll still be on top. Yo, I thought I told you that we won't stop. Now what you gonna do with a school that got money much longer than yours? And a team much stronger than yours. Violate me, this'll be your day. We don't play, mess around with DOA. You on your way, cause there ain't no time here. Ain't enough time here for you to shine here. Deal with many women, cause street time's fair. And I'm bigger than the city lights down in Times Square. Yeah.
PPA, no info for the DEA. Better than age, is mad cause the flavor was at myself. And I'm more in the basement.
Many years I hope the microphone was on that whole time. If not, I do apologize. We're just going to keep rolling with it. But I was talking about the 2 truths, 1 lie. The 2 truths, again, I went to the last game ever at Yankee Stadium, and I forgot what the other truth was. I'm forgetting the truth. I went to the last game ever at Yankee Stadium, and that's right. I got my blue belt in Taekwondo when I was younger. And I was saying how that was a big regret. But the lie is that Mr. V was never, ever, 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 ever a contestant on The Price is Right. Although I do dream of someday getting called down to Contestants Row and, you know, hopefully spinning the big wheel and winning the Showcase Showdown, right? So again, I apologize if the audio was cut out there for anybody out there. I don't even know if it was on or if it was slightly off and on. I'm not exactly sure. But we'll talk about our website updates. As I showed you folks yesterday, there is a link in today's post to my website where you can kind of preview, what to expect over the next couple of weeks as we move towards the end of the school year. And then last but not least, again, just a reminder, if you're logging in and answering your questions on Common Lit, make sure that you log in using Google. Do not try to log in through Clever. It's probably not going to work. And again, if you have any issues with logging in through Google, contact me. Let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you folks out. So with that being said, let's get down to business. Let's get to the Prezi for today. All right, and the Prezi, which I thought was such a fitting title, and again went along with our opening song for today, and it will be our closing song as well. Mo Money, Mo Problems, and I love that Miss Reynolds titled this "Mo Money, Mo Problems." So here is the Prezi on the article "Study: High Incomes Don't Bring You Happiness." So the article really has 3 key elements. Okay, it talks about life evaluation. What does life evaluation mean? All right, so if you didn't pick that up from the article, life evaluation refers to the thoughts that people have about their life when they think about it. Has their life been unfair and hard? Has their life been overall good? So when we're thinking about life evaluation, we're talking about the entire overall picture, the macro view of your life, okay? Not the micro view of your life, which would be more so your emotional well-being. Emotional well-being refers to the emotional quality of an individual's everyday experiences. Again, so this is more in a microscopic view of your, day-to-day life and your day-to-day experiences and your day-to-day happiness. So think of emotional well-being as day-to-day happiness, and think life evaluation is like your overall happiness, okay, in the big scheme of things over your entire course of your life. So going back to emotional well-being, again, it refers to the emotional quality of an individual's everyday experiences and the frequency and intensity of experiences of joy, stress, sadness, anger, and affection that make one's life pleasant or unpleasant. So again, we're thinking about our emotional stability on a day-to-day basis, okay, our emotional well-being on a day-to-day basis. The last part of the Prezi, again, this is a rather short Prezi considering that our article was rather short. And I love that Miss Reynolds included the Mo Money, Mo Problems. That there is Mr. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. Sean Combs. You guys probably know him as P. Diddy, I think he goes by now. I think at one point I don't know. I think I'm confusing him with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg went as Snoop Lion at one point, which was whatever. Anywho, getting back to the Prezi here. So again, what the article seems to conclude is that high income buys life satisfaction, but not happiness. So it buys you an overall life evaluation that is satisfactory, but your emotional well-being tends to kind of suffer as a result. So this reads, your emotional well-being increases until you make over $75,000 a year. Then it plateaus or remains the same even if you make more money. Life evaluation continues to increase the richer you get. So the more money you have, the article concluded that, your life evaluation is going to, you'll have a quality life evaluation, but when it comes to your emotional well-being, it's not, it's not going to go up. Okay. So your happiness in a day-to-day experiences probably, your emotional well-being on a day-to-day is not going to be as strong if you make over $75,000 a year. At least that's what the article concluded. So Miss Reynolds was nice enough to include this graph here that shows that. Okay, so if you think about happiness and income, all right, once you hit that $75,000 mark, all right, you tend to plateau, okay, in terms of your overall happiness, your overall life evaluation. All right, so I'm going to continue out of here. Continues on, once our income reaches a certain level and our basic needs for food, healthcare, safety, and shelter are met, the positive effects of money, such as buying your dream home, are often offset by the negative effects, such as working longer hours or in more stressful jobs to maintain that income. All right. So they're saying, once you make over $75,000 a year, your day-to-day stresses tend to increase. Okay. Because probably because your job requires you to do more work, right? Maybe it's a bit more stressful because you're making more money. Maybe you have to work longer hours. All right. So your emotional well-being tends to destabilize once you hit that $75,000 threshold. However, your quality of your life evaluation tends to increase, or at least stay steady. All right, so that is the study. Again, the Prezi was rather short today, so again, hope that made some sense. And I'm realizing now I forget to go over today's post with you, so I'll take you over to today's post really quick. All right, yesterday we had the B. Today we have Mr. V skipping steps. What's going on here? Almost filmed an entire video with my microphone on mute, I might add as well, which there is a lost episode of Mr. V. You're probably wondering, hey, Mr. V, there's only 31 videos on our website, and you say you've had 32 sessions, and today is day 33, so after today there'll only be 32. Where's that lost video? The lost video is the one I did on mute. I sat here for an hour and talked to myself. So, yeah, that's why the numbers may be a bit off. All right, let's get to today's post. So again, we went over the Prezi, which is this link here. All right, Mo Money, Mo Problems. You have a link to my website as well as a link to the text and a link to Common Lit. Again, if you're answering your questions online, you want to make sure to use the Common Lit link here in my Google Classroom. So today's post reads, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Today we will continue with our Phase 3 Unit 2 work. For today's assignment, you should review the Prezi and reread Study High Incomes Don't Bring You Happiness by Caitlin Kenney. We'll get to rereading that soon. Additionally, you should respond to the assessment questions for this text on commonlit.org. Make sure to log in with Google. Today's video lesson will review the Prezi for Study High Incomes Don't Bring You Happiness by Caitlin Kenney, which we just did. Additionally, we will reread and annotate the text, which we're about to do, before completing the guided reading questions. Lastly, we will review the assessment questions for this text. Have a great weekend, everyone. Mr. V. Don't forget to participate in the 2 Truths, 1 Lie contest. Entries close at 12 noon, so that's already over by now. And also respond to this week's question of the week. You have until Sunday to get on those questions of the week, folks. So let's switch it on over now to Study High Incomes Don't Bring You Happiness. Okay. All right. So again, we read this article yesterday. It is rather short, so we're going to read through it again. But this time, we're really going to pay attention to this bolded point in the blurb, because again, the blurb gives us our reading lens that we need to analyze the text through. So the blurb had stated that as you read, take notes on the different definitions of happiness that exist and how they are affected by money. Okay, so again, there seems to be 2 different definitions of happiness, and they're affected based on the amount of money somebody earns. So here we go. How much money do you think it would take to make you happy? Would an extra $10,000 a year to do it? Or would it take a $100,000 salary bump to improve your mood? So I'm going to annotate this, even though it does not deal with the blurb. I want to point out that the author, because this is more about the author's craft, the author establishes a hook by asking the reader a question. All right, and this is something that we tend to do and use as a strategy when we write our essays. We tend to start with a thought-provoking question. Okay, so that's what we have here is a thought-provoking question. We have 2 questions that establishes the hook in the reader and captures our interest. It gets us thinking about the topic and happiness and how money might affect our happiness. All right, so from here on out, I'm only going to annotate for the different definitions of happiness and how they're affected by money. A new study from Princeton economist Angus Deaton and psychologist Daniel Kahneman suggests that number depends on how you define happiness. The authors draw a distinction between emotional well-being, the quality of a person's everyday experience, such as joy, fascination, anxiety, sadness, anger, and affection, and life evaluation, a person's thoughts about his or her life on a longer time scale. So, again, the blurb asks us to take notes on the different definitions of happiness, and here we have 2 different definitions of happiness. So I'm going to annotate emotional well-being. I'm going to define that. I'm going to put it in a fancy color. Let's put this Yellow's kind of lame. I was hoping to go with a better color than yellow. Let's go with blue. The blue. So it defines emotional well-being. Oh, it's taking a second. Come on, annotation tool. Why are you being a pain? There we go. So it defines emotional well-being. It says the quality of a person's everyday experiences such as joy, fascination, anxiety, sadness, anger, and affection. So one definition of happiness refers to emotional well-being or the quality of your everyday experiences. Okay, that's the first definition of happiness. The second definition of happiness refers to life evaluation. I'm going to highlight this in a different color. I'm going to highlight that in red because it contrasts emotional well-being. The second, the second definition of happiness refers to life evaluation or the overall quality of your life as a whole. Okay, so rather than looking at your everyday experiences and kind of that micro scale, looking at, how this day compares to the next day, when we think of our life evaluation, we're looking at the big picture, okay, looking at our life as a whole. So it continues, right? Now we've identified the different definitions on happiness that exist. Now we're going to take note on how they are affected by money. So it says their study of data from the Gallup Healthways Wellbeing Index found that while life evaluations rise with steady income, emotional well-being drops off at about $75,000 a year. So this is telling me how money affects happiness. Okay, how does money affect these definitions of happiness? Well, according to the study, if you earn more than $75,000 per year, you tend to have a quality life evaluation, but your emotional well-being declines. Okay, so again, once you make more than $75,000, you might have a quality life evaluation, looking at your life like, you know what, overall, pretty happy. But on your day-to-day experiences, your emotional well-being, in other words, that tends to decline. You tend to have more stress. Ooh, I don't know where that just went. I got to type that again. Oh, sorry, guys. So according to the text, when you earn more than $75K per year, you tend to have a quality life evaluation. However, your emotional well-being declines. All right. There we go. It continues and talks more. It says beyond $75,000, money is important for life evaluation, but does nothing for happiness, enjoyment, sadness, or stress. So again, this just reaffirms my last point that if you earn more than $75,000 per year, you might have a quality life evaluation, but your emotional well-being may be unstable. Again, we think about the fact that, when you make that much money, you make more money, there's probably more problems, right? More money, more problems. So your day-to-day happiness, your emotional well-being, might be all over the place. One day you might be happy. The next day you might be really stressed out because, you have to work a 12-hour shift, or, you have to chase down that client who owes you money or something. Okay. So it continues. It says both factors are important. It is good to have high emotional well-being, but it's also good to think your life is going well. So again, we need to find that balance, between our emotional well-being and, our life evaluation. We want to have a quality life evaluation and a quality emotional well-being. Where is that middle ground? Where are we going to find that? So it continues and says, according to the most recent census data, a census, just so we know, is an official count or survey of the population. Okay, we're actually having a census this year, the 2020 census, which again counts all or surveys all of the members of our population. So according to the most recent census data, the median U.S. household income was $52,000 in 2008, with about a third of households making $75,000. So I'm going to make an inference here, okay, regarding that third of households. This reveals that is likely that 1/3 of households have a quality life evaluation but poor emotional well-being. Bingo. All right. So we've read the text. All right. We've annotated it. Hopefully it makes a bit more sense now. Just to go back, let's talk about my annotations. Then we'll get to the guided reading question, shall we? So the first thing I took note of is the fact that the author establishes a hook by asking the reader a thought-provoking question. I took notes on the two definitions of happiness. One definition of happiness refers to emotional well-being or the quality of your everyday experiences. The other definition of happiness, excuse me, where did this one go? This note didn't save either. Oh, I got to write this one down. Oh, I probably forgot to hit done. The second definition of happiness refers to your life evaluation or the overall quality of your life as a whole. All right, there we go. I had also took note again regarding how happiness is affected by money. Right, what they seem to conclude is that according to the text, when you earn more than $75,000 per year, you tend to have a quality life evaluation. However, your emotional well-being declines. And again, if you earn more than $75,000 per year, you might have a quality life evaluation, but your emotional well-being may be unstable. And then lastly, I made an inference with this final line. I had stated that this reveals that it is likely that 1/3 of households have a quality life evaluation but poor emotional well-being. Again, because a third of households make above $75,000, and the study said that if you earn more than $75,000, you probably have a quality life evaluation but poor emotional well-being. That's how I was able to synthesize that information in order to make sense. All right, let's get to the guided reading questions now. All right, so what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to reread the article, and I'm going to stop at each guided reading question so that we can answer. So let's begin. How much money do you think it would take to make you happy? Would an extra $10,000 a year do it? Or would it take a $100,000 salary bump to improve your mood? A new study from Princeton economist Angus Deaton and psychologist Daniel Kahneman suggests that number depends on how you define happiness. The authors draw a distinction between emotional well-being, the quality of a person's everyday experiences such as joy, fascination, anxiety, sadness, anger, and affection, and life evaluation, a person's thoughts about his or her life on a longer time scale, again, as a whole. So the first question says, which of the following describes Deaton and Kahneman's study? So we have A, they are trying to find out if money determines how happy people are. B, they are trying to prove that richer people are happier than poor people. C, they are trying to explain why people are either happy or really sad. D, they are trying to prove that people with less money are happier than rich people. Well, I think what they're trying to find out is if money factors into your overall happiness. And I think that the best answer that reflects that is option A. They are trying to find out if money determines how happy people are. I'm going to click on this. Let's see if I'm right. I haven't done these yet, so maybe I'm wrong. And I'm correct, okay? So the purpose of their study, okay, is to try to find out if money determines how happy people are. And what they seem to find is that it affects one level of happiness, but also negatively impacts the other area of happiness. At least that's what I've concluded. Let's continue, shall we? Their study of data from the Gallup Healthways Wellbeing Index found that while life evaluations rise steadily with income, emotional well-being drops off at about $75,000 a year. Beyond $75,000, money is important for life evaluation, but does nothing for happiness, enjoyment, sadness, or stress. Both factors are important. It is good to have high emotional well-being, but it is also good to think your life is going well. According to the most recent census data, the median U.S. household income was $52,000 in 2008, with about a third of households making above $75,000. So our last question asks, which of the following describes the findings of the study? So what did they conclude? All right. So we have A, about a third of the U.S. population is stressed out every day. Well, that may be true. Okay, considering that people who earn more than $75,000 tend to have quality life evaluation, but have more stress in their day-to-day lives, their emotional well-being tends to suffer. So that may be true. B, people who make less than $75,000 should get higher paying jobs. I don't think that's what the study has found. All right, is that people need to get better jobs in order to be happy. C, money doesn't impact a person's happiness if they earn more than $75,000. Well, again, that seems to contradict what I had said earlier. Okay, in that once you make more than $75,000, your happiness is affected, and that your emotional well-being tends to decline. D, people who make less than $52,000 a year are happier with their lives. Well, the study doesn't really talk too much about that $52,000. Okay, it just mentions that was the median household income in 2008. So I don't think it would be logical to say that is what their study concluded. Okay, I'm going to go with A because that also seems to reflect what I said here in my note. I said this reveals that it is likely that 1/3 of households have a quality life evaluation but poor emotional well-being. Again, your emotional well-being being that it's probably going to be poor because you're probably more stressed out. You have a bit more work. And let's see if we're correct. And I'm wrong. Well, what should we say now? Well, this is the beauty of using the guided reading questions, guys, because it's okay to get things wrong. So we need to go back and reread. All right. So I'm going to reread right from here and read this over again. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what did their study find? What is the conclusion that they made? Their study of data from the Gallup Healthways Wellbeing Index found that while life evaluations rise steadily with income, emotional well-being drops off at about $75,000 a year. Beyond $75,000, money is important for life evaluation, but does nothing for happiness, enjoyment, sadness, or stress. Both factors are important. It is good to have high emotional well-being, but it is also good to think your life is going well. According to the most recent census data, the median U.S. household income was $52,000 in 2008, with about 1/3 of households making above $75,000. Well, let's see. Let's go back to option C. Money doesn't impact a person's happiness if they earn more than $75,000. I want to take it to this paragraph because this paragraph, I think, reflects this idea. Again, beyond $75,000. So again, if you earn more than $75,000, money is important for life evaluation, but does nothing for happiness, enjoyment, sadness, or stress. So I think C should be our answer. Money doesn't impact a person's happiness if they earn more than $75,000 because beyond $75,000, it does nothing for happiness. At least that's what their study seems to have concluded. So we're going to go with C, and I think we're right this time. Of course we are, okay? Of course we are. Again, the point here, guys, is with the guided reading questions to correct your misunderstandings, okay? Again, I just modeled that for you. Right, I thought right away that, oh yeah, the study's shown that people are 1/3 of people are stressed out every day. Well, I don't think that was necessarily true. I made that inference. Okay, the article didn't say that, but the article did state this, which was option C for our guided reading. So again, the guiding reading questions are not there to penalize you, to hurt you. They're there to help you to track your understanding and correct any misunderstandings you may have. Okay. So with that being said, guys, we're going to preview the assessment questions, and today's lesson's already going to be over. And we'll get back to more Notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, Puff Daddy, and Mace, or Bad Boy, as they're called, and more money, more problems. Let's see what the assessment questions are. So again, the assessment questions, typically we have 5. We have 4 multiple choice and 1 short answer. So we have looks like a part A, part B type of question with number 1. Number 1. What statement best identifies the central idea of the text? Okay, the central idea is the big idea. Excuse me, burping in the microphone. The central idea refers to the big idea of the text. Okay, what is this text trying to tell us? Is it that money makes people happy above anything else? Is it telling us B, emotional well-being is solely dependent on wealth? Is it C, that money plays only a very minor role in people's overall happiness? Or D, money is able to influence people's happiness to an extent, okay, so to a certain level. Let's go to number 2. Number 2 is a part B for number 1, so it's just asking which detail from the text best supports the answer to part A. So I would suggest, folks, with answering question 1, you might want to look at the evidence with question 2 before making your selection, okay? So we have a quote from paragraph 1, paragraph 4, Another quote from paragraph 4. And finally, a quote from paragraph 5, right? Again, which detail here would best reveal the central idea of the text? Question 3, again, 3 and 4, part A, part B. What does paragraph 5 suggest about the emotional well-being of an individual with the median household income in 2008? So what does paragraph 5 suggest about the emotional well-being or the daily happiness or the everyday happiness of an individual with that $52,000 median household income? All right, remember the median household income was $52,000. So is it A, the average household in the US would be happier with a higher income? B, only life evaluation would increase with a higher income? C, some people in the United States make too much money, which is harmful to average Americans? Or D, increasing the average household's income would decrease the country's overall emotional well-being? Going to have to make sure we answer that question very closely. And again, to help you, look at the evidence in part B, right? Which section from the text best supports the answer to part A? So again, which of these quotes would best tell us about the emotional well-being of an individual with the median household income? Okay, so which evidence here would best reflect that idea? Now, lastly, question 5, it asks, what is the main difference between emotional well-being and life evaluation as discussed in paragraph 2? Okay, again, so here we want to understand the difference between emotional well-being and life evaluation, right? And again, just to give you a hint, it seems like there's a difference in time, right? We think of life evaluation, it's on that large scale. When we think about emotional well-being, that's that micro scale, that small scale, that day-to-day, our day-to-day emotions. All right, well, folks, now it's time to say goodbye because we're going to Notorious B.I.G. I think, I'm trying to think, what was that from? Was that from Barney? I can't remember. I think it is. No, that's the Mickey Mouse Club. MICKEYMOUSE. Notorious B.I.G. You get it? You see it? You see the connection? All right, so folks, we'll be back on Monday with Day 15. Until then, again, if you have any questions, please reach out via email. Those of you that completed the pre-writing graphic organizer, make sure that you turn that in so I know that you're ready for me to provide you with feedback for this particular part of that graphic organizer. And until Monday, make sure to wash them hands and have yourselves a fabulous, amazing weekend. Okay, I hear that Sunday is supposed to be absolutely beautiful. Don't let the gloominess of the weather today spoil the outlook for the entire weekend because it's looking pretty good. All right, so let's go back to the Notorious B.I.G. Mo money, mo problems. This seems to be a central idea of our text. We'll see.
No info for the DEA. Federal agents mad 'cause I'm flagrant. Tap myself and the phone in the basement. My team supreme, stay clean. Triple B, never dream. I be that. See at all events bent. Send holsters, girls on shoulders. Playboy, I told ya, me and Mike to me, bruise too much, I lose too much. Step on stage, the girls boo too much. I guess it's 'cause you run with lame dudes too much. Me lose my touch, never that. If I did, ain't no problem to get the where the true players at. Throw your rollies in the sky, waving side to side, and keep your hands high while I give your girl an eye. Play it please, lyrically. C, B-I-G-B flossing, jig on the cover of Fortune, 500. It's my phone number, your man ain't got the know. I got the dough, got the flow down, pizzat, platinum plus, like Zizak, dangerous on Trizak, DJ Trizak.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I was trying to tell y'all, this ain't a Rolex. This is a Casio. All right. Until Monday. Peace out. Much love. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye now.